is a fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.
Number one, to come into the truth movement, if you're really concerned about truth, you've got to check an ego at the door, okay? You do not know everything. A lot of you think you do, but you don't. I certainly don't. Through your school system, through your education that you're so proud of, that builds your whole ego, your whole value in life, it's impossible for you to discard it and admit you were deceived. Let me tell you something. You've been deceived. It's not your fault. You can let go of your ego. Nobody's gonna laugh at you except other people that can't let go of their ego. But people that have caught on to the con and realized the power grab that's taken place, they're not gonna laugh at you, they're gonna welcome you. I'm telling you again, the worst thing they fear is the hive mind. The one thing they fear is 300 million people in the United States coming together on one topic and saying, this makes no sense. We need answers. Why is the flat earth so important? Because it shows the deception. There are enough reasonable questions to create reasonable suspicion that we've been lied to. They can't afford to keep being asked. Whether the earth actually turned out to be diamond-shaped, cross-shaped, pear-shaped, there's enough to see that it's not what we've been told. And once that is revealed, everything these governments have done becomes illegitimate. That is why it matters. And that is why they will do anything they can to keep us fighting, keep us distracted, keep us at odds against each other, just like the entire world. Whether it be Christians against Muslims, blacks against whites. Government that truly has your best interest, your freedom at heart? Or does it sound like a government that wants to keep you constantly busy on paying attention to anything but what they're doing? And this truth movement is no different. Because as soon as the topic starts going where everybody could actually make a stand and say, hey, wait a minute, this needs to be answered. This is a big one. And I don't care what anybody says, the flat earth, the shape of the earth, is the biggest conspiracy and has been used to manipulate, deceive, and control us all. If God forbid everybody came and started demanding answers, and once they can't provide those answers, people realize they are busted. It can't be a mistake. It can't be anything but the deception and control mechanism it is. Flat Earth is not a psyop. Flat Earth destroys the psyop. Every psyop that's been used to control us for as long as they've known about it. So this system has been in power and control for hundreds of years, ever since they convinced the rest of the world that they didn't know where they live, and created this fantastical scenario to make people feel insignificant and to follow those that appear to know better, that are just better liars, deceivers, that have no conscience, and will do everything and anything to everybody and anybody they can to keep that power. Because people are waking up. And no matter how much they try to suppress this flat earth movement, Oh, it's gonna keep moving one way or another. You can see it. People are waking up. So now, louder than ever, I can hear that clock. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. It's a religion. It's all a religion. You know why? Because government is a religion. Government is the majority of the world's true God, because they believe that these people have some sort of power, and they've even convinced us that we've given it to them. They still have us convinced in 2015, the age of instant communication, that we for some reason need representatives in a city that's not even part of this country called Washington, D.C. to represent us. That in this age of instant communication, we can't represent ourselves for some reason. That's how deep the brainwashing. And demand answers, they would be in checkmate. They would not know what the fuck to do. They cannot prove it. They can't prove the globe because it doesn't exist. So once you call on them, they're done. You then remove them from power and go from there. That rips down all the other conspiracies. You then have access to all these top secret government files, that national security, that they hide all the evidence under. The way you control billions of people is to keep them divided and fighting each other. So they focus on anything and everything but you and how you're controlling them all.
If it's true, does it change how I live my life? It would be nice if it's true for the government to acknowledge and stop charades. However, I find it really hard, especially knowing someone that works for NASA and his job is to get new packages ready, yada, yada, yada. So again, what difference does it make? Well, that's, like I said, that's a great question. And this is something that is not an easy answer because of the magnitude of what we're talking about here. How it will change your life, first of all, when you understand it, it is dramatic, to say the least. Will it change you from having to go to your job every day and the things that you typically do every day? No. But when this knowledge becomes more mainstream and these agencies are starting to be held accountable, and you understand that they're all participating in this, not just the United States government, not just NASA, but China, Russia, India, all of them have space programs. They all have the same symbolism. They're all doing the exact same thing to their citizenry. The deception goes all the way to the top. And when I say all the way to the top, you have to kind of get rid of the notion that the people at the very highest levels are working together. People that control the world are not, we're not against each other. There was never any such thing really as the Cold War. We're really not enemies with anybody else. This is all a facade that's being brought on for our benefit. But the people that are in power, that have all the money, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Morgans, the on and on and on, these are the people that literally run the central banking system, which of course has permeated the entire world. And any country that tries to get away from it, their leaders are quickly assassinated. It goes on and on and on. So you have to understand, and I think you have to understand conspiracies a little bit to understand the magnitude of this deception. So why would they do this? Why are they trying to hide the fact that we are on an infinite plane or on a flat earth rather than a ball? The answer to that, there's a lot of answers to that, but in my personal opinion, if you isolate people into the idea that they're on a blue marble that's in the middle of a universe that is really insignificant, and there's thousands or millions and billions of other worlds and possibly other civilizations, that makes most people think that we are insignificant, and that, you know, we did actually come about, you know, as some sort of an accident. All right. Now, when people believe that, it is their minds are much more malleable into being given the idea that, you know, there is no God, there is no creator, that all of this is just some sort of random happenstance. And because of that, you know, that also gives the controllers kind of this fertile soil to build other deceptions on, okay? And it's all about control. Remember, it's not about money. Money is irrelevant. They print the money, right? Money is just, you know, something that you and I agree has value, but it really is just pieces of paper, right? These people are printing the money. They can print money all day long if they want to, and they do. So it's not about that. It's not just about power either. It's about total control. Mental, physical, spiritual, every way, shape, and form possible. And, you know, to wrap your head around this type of deception, you know, whether you're religious or not, you know, if you're religious, then you understand that this is Satan's plan all along. If you're not religious, then you need to understand that, you know, people are power hungry, and they will do anything to gain and maintain this type of control. So ultimately, you know, to get back to the question, how will it change? How will it change you? Think about when this idea catches on, and the awareness of the level of deception that we are kept under.
I always look at those things too, as the fact that we would have that video of the sun going around, or a 24-hour sun video like that, in every classroom in the world, because it essentially, if shown to be true, would be proof of the globe. I always go back to the very idea that we were never taught about flat Earth. Just imagine for a second that flat Earth is silly and ridiculous as everyone makes it out to be. So if that were the case, then why wouldn't a whole 2 weeks of class in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade be spent having half the class argue on behalf of flat Earth and having the other half argue on behalf of the globe, have them come up with ideas and thoughts and experiments, and then you put those into action, and then you come together at the end of the 2 weeks and you show which one clearly has more evidence, and then people walk away and they would understand why they live on a globe, they would believe they lived on a globe, they would have proof they lived on a globe. That would be the case if the globe was true. Instead, you were not talked about flat Earth at all. It was in passing, it was ridiculous, Christopher Columbus, it was just thrown aside. No evidence was given for the globe. It was a matter of fact. It was known. It was scientifically accurate. That's the way they taught it. And then they taught the flat Earth the idea of falling off the edge. If you think that that's for no reason, that they just didn't feel like teaching us with actual evidence, and I mean, it's so clear that there's a reason behind why they would do that. And why would they go through all the steps that they've gone through to change the idea of whether or not Columbus or people before him thought the Earth was flat? It is a concerted effort by academia et al. To go through and destroy anybody or anything, any book. And there's tons of examples. You know, there's tons of examples of school books that people have found from 1920 that say people in Christopher Columbus's day thought that the Earth was flat. Well, they go through and they destroy that stuff and they say, nope, this person was confused. This person didn't know. Everybody from 2,500 years ago. Well, it's because they've had to change that, because if somebody started telling people, hey, 500 years ago, we thought that the Earth was flat. It's only been in the last 500 years. People would say, really? I want to go look into that. And that's the last thing they can have people do, is look into this problem, because you will quickly find out that all you have is Aaron Ra beating his drum and not a lot of substance or evidence or facts to show you where you live. And that's going to get people to start searching. And that's ultimately my goal, is getting people to go look into this stuff. Look at like what Ben did. There's problems down there. And that's really the answer. I've asked people before, what would they choose if they could take one trip? Would it be to the north or to the south? And for me, it would be to the south. I definitely think that everything rides on Antarctica. Now, I'm going to sound crazy here, but we've also seen NASA fake a sun. They have a fake sun They've shown it before. There's pictures of it. Look up NASA fake sun.
And
it's
they
a
have
big
a patent on it.
They have a patent on it. It's got a bunch of bulbs, and it's not out of the question to picture that there's these isolated spots in Antarctica, right? So there's these few bases or whatever. Well, it's not out of the question to think that they would throw a little balloon up with a fake sun and it go around. People might think that's crazy. Oh my goodness, you're out of your... Well, if you don't understand what this lie means to the higher ups, and you look at the fact that somebody gets $52 million a day, that it would be very easy to conceive. They've got balloons they can put up with 8,000-pound apparatuses that stay up for a year. So if that's that easy, this is easier than that. You put up the fake sun for 6 months or 3 months, whatever it needs to be, and you program it to go around that base where those people are. So to me, it's not out of the question. I would have to see it. I mean, I think that the reason we don't see videos of that is because I'm pretty sure somebody with any kind of forensic ability would be able to look at the image and clearly see the difference between the sun and a big light that NASA put up there. Now, somebody who's just a scientist or somebody who's just going there for a trip might not know the difference. They might look up and see the bright thing and say, okay, that's the sun. But somebody with forensic video evidence or photo evidence might be able to just tweak some of the little values and see that it's clearly not the sun. So, I mean, in my opinion, that's even not out of the question that they could be faking the sun down there. It's that important. It means that much to them. Otherwise, that would give up the whole secret.
God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together in one place. The dry land appeared. It was so. And God called the dry land what? Earth. 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 Now go to verse 14. God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, divide the day from the night. Let them be for signs, seasons, for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light to the earth. And it was so, and God made two great lights. All right, what are these lights? The what? Sun and the moon. Did you just read in your Bible that the earth is older than the sun? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You just read in your Bible that the earth was here before the sun. Right? You certainly did. Now, that's a big deal. Now, here's what you get into. There's two big words I'm going to throw out here to you. That's what I'm giving to you. And I want you to think about it. Geocentric and heliocentric. So what does that mean? It's just a big word. You pay for the education, let the folks know you're in school. Here's what it means. Geocentric means that the earth is the center of the universe. Heliocentric means that the sun is the center of the universe, known universe, our solar system, and everything revolves around the sun. With a geocentric view, the sun and everything revolves around the earth, and the earth is fixed where it is. Now, here's the thing. My little excursion into this has revealed that most of the people that believe in a geocentric view of the earth also believe that the earth is flat. I'm going to throw some things out there for you this morning. I love debate. If what you believe is real, and you really believe it, and you have a foundation for that belief, you should be able to defend it. I have no respect for somebody who says, well, I believe this and that, and you don't have anything to back it up. I'm not saying I believe in a flat earth. No. But there are some interesting points they make. Let me give you one. How many understand if the earth is a ball out here in space, then it has a curvature to it, right? It has a curvature. It's going to have a curvature. You're going to see a curvature. Now, what's going to be more apparent is the higher you get, the more you're going to be able to see the curvature, right? In other words, you have to get to a point in space where you're able to look down on the earth and see the curvature of the earth. And therefore, prove without a doubt that the earth is round. Now, this gets into the scientific geology or geography or whatever they are, who measure things like this. But did you know that in Lake Michigan, Chicago, Illinois sits on the western bank of Lake Michigan? How many of y'all know that? Chicago, Illinois, it's a good-sized town. At one time, Chicago was the second largest town in America. Chicago, Illinois. It sits right there. It butts right up against Lake Michigan. Right up against it, Lake Michigan. You can go 40 miles across the peninsular part of Michigan I forget the name of the town over there, and it's in another state. And you can get out there on a boat 40-something miles away from Chicago and look across Lake Michigan, and you can see the skyline of Chicago, Illinois. A meteorologist was talking about what he called what is that thing? A mirage. A mirage. The phenomenon of a mirage. That makes sense, doesn't it? That makes sense for the curvature of the earth. How many follow me here now? See, he was trying to explain to people, how can we 40 miles away see Chicago?
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
And he was explaining to them how that the light was coming up and bouncing back down, and it was a mirage. You weren't really seeing Chicago by looking straight at it. You were seeing a reflection of Chicago through the clouds and the atmosphere and whatever else is up there. So these guys up there, they got in this boat. You've always got somebody like this. They hooked up their cameras. They had to wait for a certain day to come clear enough, because 40 miles is a long way to see, folks. And they got in their boat, and they hooked up their cameras, and they focused in on Chicago, and you could barely see it. Barely, because of the haze and the distance. But they kept their cameras trained on Chicago, Illinois, and they began to cross Lake Michigan. And do you know something? Nothing ever changed except Chicago got clearer. Now, if you're following me in all of this, here's the point. If the earth is curved, they should not have been able to see Chicago 40 miles away. Is that right? I'm not saying I believe it, but it makes me think. How did they see Chicago? Airline pilots, when they go up, flight level, let's say 30, 35, in other words, 30,000 or 35,000 feet in the air. Let's say they're up there at 35,000 feet. As they rise in that aircraft, did you know what amazing thing happens? The horizon rises. Now, if the horizon was curved, would it rise or would it fall? So you believe in the flat earth? No, but I believe in listening to what they got to say. You see, here's their point. Their point is that God made the earth, and he made everything else as it relates to the earth. And the earth is the center of God's plan for man. And that it is here the issue of sin and salvation is settled. And that because of that, the earth is primary and is of primary importance in God's creation. In plain words, you're not going to find anything out there that is nearly as important as what you've got going on here. Now, as far as that's concerned, I go with them 100%. I'm going to read a little more about the flat earth. Here's why. I may never believe the earth is flat, but I may learn a lot of things from it that may help me understand my Bible in ways that I could never understand it before.
Belief is an acceptance that something exists or is true, especially without proof. Do you believe? Do you believe that Superman, fairies, Santa Claus, the Loch Ness Monster, the Tooth Fairy, do you believe they exist? No? So why do you believe in a globe Earth? What is your evidence? Or is it a belief, a hand-me-down of repeating so-called knowledge without proof? For instance, a teacher teaching a student about fire-breathing flying dragons, who later becomes a teacher teaching about fire-breathing flying dragons. We live on a flat plane of existence, where water finds its level. The horizon line is always flat and rises to eye level, no matter how high you go. Objects only converge into the horizon and disappear once they are past the vanishing point of a person's vision. Whenever an object passes the vanishing point of an observer's vision, the observer can bring the object back into view by zooming in with either binoculars, a high-zoom powered camera, or a telescope. This debunks all claims of objects disappearing over the curvature. Aeroplane flight routes only make sense on a stationary plane realm. Tracking flights will reveal that all flights arc towards the Arctic. No flights ever arc towards the Antarctic. This is because the world is not a globe. The shortest path from point A to point B is a straight line. You cannot track flights in the oceans south of the equator. The reason is that the Global Positioning System, GPS, is actually the Ground Positioning System. The northern half of the world is more or less identical in shape and distance on both the globe as well as the plane realm models. In the southern half of the world, the two models are completely different, of course. GPS only tracks flights in the north. All intercontinental southern flights always have to travel to the north to get to their destinations. This is because we live on a stationary flat plane of existence, not on a spinning globe in vacuum. Gravity is a theory that explains why objects stick to the globe instead of falling off into the vacuum of space. Gravity exists in strict support of the theory of relativity, which states that large masses in the universe create space-time, which bends the vacuum of space and creates a phenomenon called gravity. In a vacuum, space cosmology, the direction is relative, in that up is anywhere away from the core of the planet, and down is anywhere towards the core of the planet. The universal constant here is that in the vacuum of space, the norm is 0g. None of these theories have ever been proven true, and all attempts to prove these theories have resulted in complete fail. Plain Earth realm cosmologies reject the theory of relativity. This means that there is no need for gravity and space-time to explain its physics. We know that in order for something to have properties, it must exist. A vacuum is a lack of matter. How can something non-existent have properties? How can nothingness bend and curve? It can't. This proves that there is no science behind space-time or gravity, and that the two theories are fabrications of the imagination rooted in magic, rather than real physics and science. Plain Earth cosmologies instead claim that reality is absolutist, in nature rather than relative. This means that the universal constant is 1g, objectively and absolutely down, instead of 0g. There is no natural 0g. All matter, when placed in a vacuum, will objectively fall downwards. Not because it is pulled by the gravity of anything, but rather because the entire physics of the plane realm is absolutist in nature, where up is definitely up and down is definitely down. This is in complete accordance with everything that we can scientifically observe, test, and repeat. This is only possible on a flat plane of existence. It is completely impossible on a globe heliocentric model.
If a pilot is flying around the curve of the Earth, then he should be dipping the nose down every 5 minutes. He should be dipping the nose down to stay around the curve. But the thing that really got me interested was, as you say, the gyroscope. In a plane, there is an artificial horizon, okay, and it's based on a gyroscope. And if you spin a gyroscope on a surface, it will want to stay upright. You can twist and tilt the surface as much as you like, the gyroscope will stay upright. So, if a plane has a gyroscope and it starts following the curve of the Earth, the gyroscope would stay upright, which means the artificial horizon will start to roll backwards. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't. Mm-hmm. That's absolute proof that a plane flies over a flat surface rather than a curved one. Because I asked the pilot on my last flight. Do you ever notice the artificial horizon rolling backwards? He said, no, but the artificial horizon has complex electronics in it to make sure it knows where it is on the Earth and it compensates. But I went to the manufacturer of the artificial horizon, and they confirmed to me that it's completely mechanical, nothing electronic in it whatsoever. So it's literally just a gyroscope that can freely move. So that right there is proof to me that planes fly over a plane.
And if we lived on a ball, we would know it. We would know it, man. We would know it. And it's flat as fuck. I don't know how much more I can, tell you, or how many times I gotta say it. No matter where you go, you're all over this earth. It's flat. The lands are flat. With topography. It's flat, man. The sea level's flat. Sea floor is flat. Horizon is flat. The earth is flat. I just don't understand why people can't understand this. And I think more people are like, no way, there's no way our government could be lying to us about something like that. There's no way that all of these scientists that they pumped up and propped up is lying to us in the past. There's no way that everything I learned in school was a bunch of bullshit. There's no fucking way. And I think that's why people are, they can't get it. They don't grasp it. They don't, they just can't put the 1 + 1 together. And that's why they like the TV. Because brainwashing is real, folks. You gotta admit that you've been brainwashed, man. That you've been fucked with. That you present people with evidence, you get people to think, and they just can't get it through their thick skulls, man. Like they've been lied to like that. They ain't never seen curvature before. They ain't never seen the Earth from the view that NASA says we live on, perfect sphere. How does water bend into a ball, man? What's holding up the water? It's a perfect sphere. What's holding up the water to curve it into a ball? You're not even fucking thinking, man. Of fucking evidence that we've been lied to, man. I didn't say we live on a ball. The scientific establishment, NASA, they say we live on a ball, man. Don't get mad at me. Because I see no proof we live on a ball. Don't call me stupid. Call me stupid. Wait a minute, we don't feel like we spinning. You never seen curvature. The Earth does not curve downwards anywhere. What country, what state, what continent does the Earth curve downwards? Not only that the Earth does not curve downwards, it does not curve upwards. You live on a flat, stationary plane. You do not live on a ball. You do not live on a spinning ball. You do not live on a tilted spinning ball. You've been lied to your whole entire life. A quarter is round, but it's flat. We know it's round, but it's flat. The earth does not curve downwards, nowhere. Wake the fuck up.